Hi, you're watching Reddit Confessions. Let me just say this. You don't truly understand how silence can scream until the woman you love leaves in a glittery dress and doesn't come back until sunrise. It started with a door click. Not a slam. Not a goodbye. Just click. That soft, casual kind of exit like she was running an errand and not walking into temptation. I didn't speak. I didn't even move. Just sat at the edge of our bed like the air had turned heavy. The party. She'd mentioned it offhandedly the day before. Said it was a harmless thing. Said I was being weird for even raising an eyebrow. Said Sasha would be there. And Mindy. And her high school crew. Girls only. Laughter and music and memories. I knew what she was wearing. Not because she showed me, but because I found the receipt days ago. A brand I can't pronounce. A price that made my stomach turn. She never bought things like that. Not for me, anyway. The house felt like a stranger's after she left. Her perfume lingered on the doorknob. Her curling iron was still warm. My hands shook just holding my phone, but I didn't type anything. No texts. No accusations. No calls. Just me. Me and that growing pit in my gut. By 2 a.m., I was pacing the hallway. I kept imagining headlights in the driveway, but nothing. By 3 a.m., I sat in her closet, staring at empty hangers. By 4:12, I checked her location. It was off. I stayed up the entire night. And then, the sun came up. She walked in at 7:34 a.m. Same heels. Same dress. Hair wild. Eyes red. No coffee in hand. No apology. No explanation. And what she said when I asked where she'd been. That's when I knew I was no longer her husband. Just the man who paid for the roof she disappeared from. I asked her where she'd been. She didn't flinch. Just kicked off her heels and muttered, "At Sasha's." I crashed on the couch. My phone died. That was it. No details. No guilt. No trace of the woman who used to text me when she was 5 minutes late. I wanted to scream, but my throat closed up. I nodded like a fool and said, "Okay." But I didn't believe a word. I waited until she went to shower. The moment the water started running, I walked into the living room and grabbed her purse. I didn't want to be that guy, snooping, doubting, digging, but something felt wrong in my bones. Inside her purse was the usual: receipts, keys, breath mints. But tucked in the side pocket, barely visible, was a folded cocktail napkin. Scribbled on it was a name I didn't recognize. Tyson, with a phone number. Underneath it, in tiny writing, "Last night was insane." I felt like I'd swallowed a battery. My hands trembled. My knees nearly buckled. I stared at that napkin like it was glowing, like it was radioactive. I wanted to tear it up, throw it in the sink, pretend I never saw it. But instead, I took a photo. Just in case. When she came out of the shower wrapped in a towel, humming like it was a normal Sunday, I sat on the edge of the bed, still silent. She kissed my forehead, like nothing had changed, like she hadn't shattered something I hadn't even realized was fragile. "Want pancakes?" she asked. I shook my head. She went to the kitchen. I went to the garage, sat in my car, and typed the number into a burner app I'd installed months ago and never used. It rang twice. Then a male voice answered. "Yeah?" I froze. My voice barely came out. "Who is this?" "Who's asking?" The man snapped, then hung up. I stared at the screen for what felt like hours. My wife had always been careful, too careful. But now there was a crack. A real one. And for the first time in our marriage, I didn't want to confront her. I wanted to catch her. That napkin haunted me. I saved the photo to a hidden folder on my phone and burned the actual thing in the garage sink while she was making pancakes. It felt ridiculous, standing there watching it curl and blacken like I was in some secret agent movie. But this was real. My marriage had a crack in it, and I was the only one pretending we still had a roof over our heads. Later that day, she handed me a grocery list like nothing had happened. "If you go out, grab these," she said with that usual casual cheer, like we were still a normal couple and not circling a truth no one wanted to say aloud. I took the list and walked straight to my car, but instead of heading to the store, I drove to the park, the one where we used to picnic years ago. I needed space to think, to breathe, to stop replaying that voice in my head. Who's asking? Back at home, curiosity chewed at me. She was in the shower again, and I did something I swore I'd never do. I opened her laptop. I knew her password, our dog's name, of course. At first, everything looked normal. Emails, Pinterest boards, Amazon orders. Then I saw it. A browser tab she hadn't closed properly. A group chat on some weird messaging app one didn't recognize, not WhatsApp or Messenger. Something encrypted. The group was called the Late Bloomers. There were 8 women in it, including Delaney. I scrolled. Messages from that night. Laughter. Photos. One in particular made my stomach twist. A blurry picture of a rooftop with drinks, a DJ, and people dancing way too close. And in the center, Delaney, laughing in someone's arms. His face was turned, but her grip on his shirt was way too familiar. One of the other women commented under it, "Girl, you were wildfire." I didn't know what to feel. Betrayal? Embarrassment? Or just plain stupidity? I closed the laptop before I saw more. Before I saw something I couldn't unsee. But it was too late. I already knew. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was a pattern. A secret life, stitched between grocery lists and work emails. A part of her I didn't recognize. That night, I crawled into bed beside her and stared at the ceiling for hours while she slept peacefully beside me. She thought I knew nothing. But now, I had a plan. By Monday night, I was deep in a hole I never thought I'd be in, making a fake profile to catfish my own wife. I know how pathetic that sounds. I wish I could say I did it with confidence, but I felt like a creep the entire time. Still, I couldn't just ask her outright. She'd deny, deflect, or gaslight. That's what people do when they've rewritten the truth in their own heads. I used photos of some random gym trainer I found on Instagram, a guy who looked nothing like me. Confident, sculpted jaw, fake smile. I named him Chase. Not too flashy, not too plain. I made the account on the same encrypted app she'd been using, the one with the Late Bloomers chat. I wouldn't have known where to start if she hadn't reused a password to log in on her phone. I had about an hour each day while she showered and did her nightly skincare rituals. I moved fast. I sent her a simple message through Chase's account. "Saw you at the rooftop. You looked unreal. Can't stop thinking about that laugh." I didn't expect a reply. Not right away. But she responded in 20 minutes. She replied, "I thought you looked familiar. You were the one with the tattoo on your hand, right?" I stared at the screen like it was written in another language. So this wasn't the first time. There was someone, and she thought I might be him. I played along. Said I'd been distracted by how confident she seemed. Told her she had this energy that was unmissable. She responded with a laughing emoji, then wrote, "You're trouble, aren't you?" She didn't recognize the trap. Didn't question why a stranger just happened to find her. She welcomed it, as if she missed the attention. As if this was just part of a game she had no guilt about. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there, staring at her while she scrolled through her phone beside me, smiling at things she wouldn't let me see. She glanced at me once and asked, "What's on your mind?" I almost told her. I almost said, "Chase wants to know too." But instead, I smiled weakly and said, "Nothing." She kissed me goodnight, and I hated how badly I still wanted to believe her. I always thought betrayal would come with fireworks, screaming matches, slammed doors, a final confession that leaves you stunned and broken. But it turns out, the worst kind comes in whispers. Quiet, creeping discoveries that make you question every good memory you've ever had. Like the morning I found her phone backup in my cloud account. An old setting we'd enabled years ago and forgotten about. Or at least I had. I wasn't looking for anything. Honestly, I was trying to distract myself, scrolling through old vacation photos on my laptop when I noticed the folder, Phone Sync. It hadn't updated in weeks. But there was enough. I didn't expect to find much, maybe just some texts or notes. But there it was, an audio file. A voicemail. It was timestamped 2 days after the party. I pressed play. "Hey gorgeous, I can't stop thinking about Saturday. You really surprised me. Let's not wait that long next time. I want more." I froze. His voice wasn't deep or dramatic. It was annoyingly average. Casual. Like he'd left that message after grabbing a coffee. It hit harder because of that. Like betrayal had a normal, everyday tone. I didn't even cry. Just sat there, jaw tight, ears ringing. Then I noticed something else. A photo. A receipt. Scanned from her notes app. It was from a hotel, not even a fancy one. Just a mid-range place off the freeway. The kind of place you rent when you don't want to be seen. The time? The same night of the party. She didn't sleep on Sasha's couch. She was here. With him. I stared at the check-in time. 11:46 p.m. She didn't come home until nearly 8 a.m. Every hour was accounted for now. She was in the kitchen when I walked out of the office. Making coffee, humming along with the radio. She looked up and smiled. "Want toast?" I couldn't answer. My throat felt like it was being held shut by a fist I couldn't see. I mumbled something and left the room. That's when it hit me. She wasn't sorry. Because she didn't think she'd been caught. Not yet. But she would be. I used to think tracking someone's location was something only jealous people did. Unstable people. The kind of people who didn't trust anyone. But now I understand that some instincts aren't insecurity. They're warnings we've been trained to ignore. So I turned her location services back on. Quietly. She'd forgotten she once shared her Apple ID with mine when she was upgrading phones last year. It wasn't visible on her end anymore, but on mine, I could see everything. That Thursday, she left work at exactly 5:06 p.m., like always. She texted me, "Staying late. Deadline's a mess. Don't wait for me." Only she wasn't at work. Her dot on the map was parked in front of a juice bar she never mentioned. I watched it sit there for 7 minutes before it moved. Slowly, toward the highway, then off an unfamiliar exit. I followed it in real time, hands trembling, each turn punching me in the ribs. It stopped in front of a quiet little building with dark windows and no signage. It was a co-working space. I wouldn't have thought anything of it if she hadn't walked out 2 hours later, laughing. With him. I recognized him from the blurry rooftop photo. His shirt sleeves were rolled up, and he had the same little tattoo on his hand she'd mentioned in the chat. Tyson. That was him. She touched his arm before they got into separate cars. But it wasn't casual. It lingered. She didn't know I was parked across the street, engine off, hands clenched on the wheels so tightly I thought I might snap the plastic. When she got home, I asked her how work went. She said, "Boring. Long. You'd have hated it." I nodded. She kissed my forehead and said she was going to shower. I didn't ask why she was already freshly perfumed. I just sat at the dining table and stared at her untouched dinner plate, still warm. Everything about her had become performative. A rehearsed role. She was doing her scenes. Playing the part of the faithful wife in a quiet house. But I knew now, she wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. Not from me. Because in her mind, I was too weak to do anything about it. I didn't need more proof. I already had enough to detonate the entire marriage. But it wasn't about revenge anymore. It wasn't even about justice. It was about clarity. I needed her to see what I saw. I needed her to look me in the eye and realize I was no longer the man she could lie to with a smile and a plate of scrambled eggs. So I printed everything. Every screenshot, every message she sent to Chase, the hotel receipt, the backup voicemail, even the image from the group chat. I didn't organize them in a neat little folder. I didn't highlight things. I just dumped them all into a brown envelope and left it on the driver's seat of her car the next morning. I didn't wait around. I didn't peek through the blinds. I just sat inside, heart hammering, pretending to read the paper while she left for work like it was any other Friday. She came back 2 hours later. No text, no call, just the doors swinging open hard enough to rattle the hallway mirror. She stood there in the entryway, holding the envelope with trembling hands. Her face was pale, not angry, not defensive, just stunned. And for the first time in what felt like years, she had no script. "You went through my stuff?" she asked, but her voice broke halfway through. I wanted to scream that she'd gone through me, tore through my trust like it was paper. But I stayed quiet, like I always did. She walked toward me slowly and set the envelope on the kitchen counter like it was toxic. Her eyes were filled with tears, real ones. But I didn't trust them anymore. "Say something," she whispered. So I did. "I know everything, Delaney. Every single thing. And you lied to my face while still pretending to love me." She sat down. No arguments. No yelling. Just silence, the kind that weighs the whole room down. She reached for my hand, and I flinched. I hated that I flinched, but I couldn't help it. She said, "I didn't mean for any of this to happen." And that's what broke me. Not the cheating, not the lies, but the pathetic, cliché excuse. I didn't mean for this to happen. As if this was a storm she got caught in, not a fire she lit herself. She talked for 2 hours, cried for most of it, told me things I didn't expect to hear, and some I'll never forget. She said it started long before the party, that she'd been feeling invisible, disconnected, all the things people say when they've stopped watering their own side of the relationship. She said Tyson made her feel seen, like she was still exciting, still wanted. I sat there, holding back every sharp word crawling up my throat, because I didn't want to yell. I wanted truth, and I got it. She didn't blame me. That surprised me. She didn't twist it, didn't say I pushed her away. In fact, She admitted the worst part. You were always good to me. And I used that as an excuse to do bad things behind your back. There was something brutally honest in that. Almost freeing. When she asked if we could fix it, I didn't answer right away. I didn't want to punish her. I just needed to breathe. So I packed a small bag, not to leave forever, but to clear my head. I went to stay with my cousin for a few days, the first time I'd been away from home without her in over a decade. And during that time, something shifted. I realized I didn't need to stay broken just because she was sorry. When I came back, we had a real conversation, not a dramatic, crying scene, just a calm, honest talk between two people who'd hurt each other in very different ways. I told her I was open to therapy, that I'd listen, but this time, she'd have to rebuild trust without my silence enabling her. It's been 3 months. She's kept her promise. No secrets, no late nights. And for the first time in years, she holds my hand without looking over her shoulder. We're not perfect, but we're real now. And sometimes, that's more important than pretending everything's okay. Thanks for following this journey on Reddit Confessions. Which moment hit you the hardest? The napkin in her purse, the hotel receipt, or the voicemail? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every one of them. And remember, silence isn't strength when the truth is screaming. Sometimes, speaking up is the only way forward. Subscribe for more true confession stories, only on Reddit Confessions.